Hey, this is Judith with Days of Judah. Normally I'm on camera, but today we're doing off camera because I was really tired and I got ready for bed, and so I'm all in my bed gear. And then I remembered, oh yeah, I wanted to make a quick video, so hence off camera. But that's okay because we've been through a pandemic now, so we're used to these types of things. That one person that's on the Zoom call that's off camera. So, no worries. But I wanted to pop on because I am continuing to explore homeschooling with my children and what that means for us, and how the best way to say is what the evolution is. So I'll just jump right in, since you're just looking at these things on the table. My initial bug for homeschooling started here. I read this book for grad school, The Unschooled Mind, by Howard Gardner, and it's all about the educational system. And it's not a new book. Actually, I don't remember what the copyright on this is. Let's see if we can grab that really quick. 1991. So, yeah, it's not a new book, but it basically talks about some of the limitations of the school system as is. And Howard Gardner is not necessarily advocating for homeschool. He's just talking about the issues that are in the system and possible ways to fix it, or approaches that are needed. So I read this book and it just got my brain buzzing. And one of the things that he talks about in here is the fact that he mentions in this book that there are 7, but I think it's since been expanded to 8. But 8 types of intelligences. We all have them, but they vary from person to person in intensity and or the level of what a person is more like. And this video isn't about all of those, so I'm not going to go through all of them right now. But one of them is, one of those types of intelligences is kinesthetic, movement and learning through the body and things like that. So that really spoke to me because at the time I had a toddler, but now I have a little kid who is very, very busy, always moving, always doing something. So getting her to sit down and to just be is not usually the way that we approach learning. She and her brother had a birthday that just passed, and I was looking for things, for their birthday that they would enjoy. But I made this for their birthday. This is a sensory box, not a sensory bin, but a sensory box. And I found this idea on Pinterest. I think I've seen it also on Etsy. And if you're not the DIY type, you can definitely, if this is something that speaks to you, this is definitely something that's you could buy. Like people, yeah. I tell you, I'm tired. You could go on Etsy and buy something like this. But basically, what this is this is Play-Doh. I made this one. It's pretty easy to make, but it's black Play-Doh with glitter in it. And then in the sensory box, there is astronaut related, toys. We have these. We have a satellite, another astronaut. I have this. I love peg dolls. I think they're just a wonderful little idea. And I have a little one who's prone to putting things in his mouth. So anything that is a toy that doesn't have pieces that can come off or anything like that is great. So you can also buy something like this on Etsy. I made this because, YouTube, you can discover all things. So I made this. And this is our little astronaut, complete with their own personal little shuttle. Oh, oh, somebody stuck Play-Doh in there. But yeah, complete with their own shuttle. I don't know if it's going to fit in there now that I know there's Play-Doh in there, but we'll see. No, not now. We'll clean out the Play-Doh. But anyway, this astronaut usually goes in this shuttle. But yeah, so, and these are all ideas that, I've seen them on Pinterest or on Etsy, and they're beautifully made. A lot of times you see things like that, but sometimes I've run into two issues. One is that sometimes I run into issues finding things that are a representation of us as people of color. Not all the time. It's getting better. It used to be harder work to find those kind of things, but it is getting better. But sometimes I still do have to look and do a little more looking than maybe someone else would. So there's that issue. And then also there's the issue of price, because usually these things are made and they're kind of bespoke. They are custom made. And they're made by hand, and so the time and the effort that takes and the materials, something like this, someone may charge anywhere from $10 to $20 for something like this. So if I wanted to get a set for my kids, and I made about like 6 of these, I think. So if I wanted to get a set, that would quickly rack up, and so it was just easier to get a blank peg doll and learn how to make it. So, but that's kind of how I'm wired, because I love stuff like that. And then also and these were also things that I made, and I just ordered the pieces on Amazon. I ordered the stars and painted them, and then I ordered these are wooden coins, and I painted like a rough version of some planetary bodies on them. I believe maybe that's Neptune, I think. It's Jupiter, the moon. Now, if you were someone who was interested in doing this, when I was looking on Pinterest, the person just did like a Mod Podge with paper. I was totally going to do that, but then we had a printer situation, so I painted them. And then put a little varnish over them. But otherwise, there's all kinds of, or like I said, you could buy them, because people do these and sell them and stuff like that. But I made these going back to this whole idea of multiple intelligences, ways that people learn, and different ways that they take in information. My daughter she's always moving, and so we do a lot of reading of library books. Right now we're doing a lot of reading about space and planetary bodies and things like that. So this is why a sensory box is great, because I can't get this out one-handed. Let's see. Play-Doh, and my kid is just there, playing with the Play-Doh and mushing it around, rolling it out, and making shapes. Sometimes they're making their own little planets. Sometimes they stick the planets in there. They stick the stars in there. Sometimes, they have an astronaut that comes, or, and obviously everything's out of here and it's all out on the table. But they just sit, and their hands are busy while they're listening. And, sometimes movement and doodling and playing with your hands gets a bad rap, but it's actually, some people are very active learners. I myself, I'm one of those people where I need to be doing something with my hands while I'm listening to information. It helps me to just focus. I don't know why, but it does. So while my kids play, while they're playing, they can listen and just take in the information. And I know that they're listening, because eventually, they'll be asking, my daughter will be asking questions about, what is gravity? What is matter? That's not the usual questions that I expect for a 5-year-old, but we're reading about gravity. So she's asking me questions, and we can talk about it. and she's just playing with the Play-Doh and the different, these are called story stones. Normally they would be on stones, but I figured it would just be easier to get the wood coins. That was another recommendation for an article that I read about creating this box. So I did the coins. But yeah, so there's this beautiful way for a person to take in information while they are learning. And honestly, I'm really proud of being able to do this. I definitely will be doing more of these things in the future. And it's so funny to me to think that one kind of thought that just took root in my mind and blossomed and has since, unraveled into all these other things, into our homeschooling journey, into me making this sensory box for my kids. It's pretty crazy, but I love it, and I love this style of learning, and I love that I can offer this to my children as part of their educational experience. So, yeah, how do your children learn? What is the way that they really take in information? I love to know. I love to hear and swap ideas. This is Judith. I'm with Days of Judah, and I hope you have a very good night.